Hey everybody, it's Rob. I'm back. We're going to do another Proving Grounds practice machine. This time we're doing a machine called Jordak. It is intermediate. It is a Linux box, and I thought it was fairly easy. There are some issues with enumeration as far as figuring out what's running on the box, but once you do, it's pretty straightforward. And the privesc portion of it is fairly straightforward as well. So without further ado, you can see I'm on Offsec's VPN. And you can see I have Jordak spun up, and that's the IP address of it. As is the case all the time, we ran an nmap scan first. We did a service version detection, T4, all ports aggressive. And you can see only two things came back, 22 and 80. So if we go to the 80, which is basically just the IP address, it's the default Ubuntu Apache 2 is installed page. That just lets you know Apache 2 is installed correctly. So what I decided to do from here was to do some dir busting. Now, for whatever reason, I could not get GoBuster to cooperate with this website. So I went to my old standby, which is dirb. So I ran dirb. It's a little slower than GoBuster, but it's good. So I ran dirb on the URL against the list that I typically use, which is the dirb common.txt word list. And what really kind of led me to what was on this server finally was the docs folder. So if we come over to docs, it is a directory listable directory on the web server. And if you go to the install directory, you can click this README, and it pretty clearly tells you what's on here. There's software on here called Jorani, which is basically a leave management type software for tracking days off, time out of work, and all of that kind of stuff. So I did some research and found out that typically the login page is located here at session./login. Now, there are some default credentials that you can use to log into this. I think it's BBALET, so B-Ballet. But to be frank, I did it. There's nothing in there, right? It's just kind of a rabbit hole to go down and click on a bunch of links. There's really no way to exploit the software from inside as a logged in user, from what I can tell. So what I did was I then got the most important piece of information, which was available right on the login page, which is its version 1.0.0. So I did a search for a Jorani 1.0.0 exploit, and this remote code execution came up, which is CVE 2023-26469. So I did a search on that CVE, and one of the exploits that popped up was Orange Cyber Defenses, and I will include links to all of this in the description below, so don't worry. But the code is pretty simple. It will need to be run in a Python virtual environment because it is using requests, which is a module that's not typically installed. And it's pretty straightforward. All you need to do is run it against the URL, and it should provide you with a shell. Now, when I say shell, it's a pseudo shell, pseudo term shell. So you're going to want to have a way to get a better shell once you get connected to the machine. So what you want to do is you just want to click download to download the code, which I've already done. And I actually have already created a folder called CVE 2023-26469, and I copied the Jorani.py into that. I'm going to open up a terminal. First thing is always we have to do chmod to make it executable. I've already done that. Then we need to install a Python virtual environment, okay, which if you've never seen me do that, it's Python 3. TAC-M for module. The module we're using is VENV for virtual environment, and traditionally you would name it .venv. Okay, I've already done that. Then we know we need requests, so we'll just do .venv bin pip install requests, and that will install the request module in your Python virtual environment and allow you to run this software. I've already done that. So at this point, you can run the exploit. So the way that you would do it is you would type venv, because it's your Python virtual environment, and then it is the script, and it's actually 242 is the IP address for me now. and you just run it against that URL. Now, the mistake that I made was originally I was trying to run it against the URI session/login. There's no URI. You just run it against the URL, which is http:// the IP address. Okay, and you'll see what I mean when we hit enter here about how the shell is kind of a pseudo-term shell. It even indicates so, and it's not very stable. So we're going to hit enter, and we're connected. So what I would advise you to do is go out to Pentest Monkey's website, and he has a bunch of reverse shell one-liners. I just took the first one, Python. This is the one I typically use, and I just modified the port and the IP address. So what we need to do now is we need to open a new terminal, start a listener, and I think I have it on 1, 2, 3, 4, so I'm going to start that listener. Then I'm going to come back to my exploited machine, and I'm going to copy over this Python one-liner. Paste clipboard, and it's running. Okay, clicked enter, and it's running. So now, if we go back to where we had our listener, you can see we have the shell. So you should definitely have a process that you go through when you get on these machines. The first thing I always do is I run history, and there's nothing, right? So that didn't help. The next thing I always run is sudo-l, and you can see we've hit pay dirt. So if you have a written process that you follow, you would find this privesc step on step 2. Like for me, it would be literally 30 seconds after I got on the machine, I would know how I'm going to already privesc. Okay, so it's very important that you have a process that you follow. So now that we know that Jordak, the user, can run the env command with sudo no password, because obviously, we don't have the password. We can go to one of our other favorite sites, which is GTFOBins, which is an excellent site that will basically give you methods to abuse binaries that are set incorrectly in Linux. And if we go to the env command, you can see they have one for shell, one for sudo, and one for sudo. And very simply, all we have to do is copy this command and paste it into the terminal, and we will have a root shell. All we're doing is running sudo using the environment command, and then it's holding on to that elevated privilege when it runs bash. So we're going to come back over here. That's the wrong window. We're going to come back over here. We're going to paste the clipboard, and we're going to hit enter, and you can see now we have a root shell. So we're going to go bin bash I, and you can definitely see that we are root at this point. Okay, so there's 2 flags in this machine, right? The first flag is in the user directory. Okay, so you need to go cd home and then do an ls, and we want to go into Jordak, and then we want to do an ls, and then we want to cat local.txt, and there's the flag. Okay, then we want to go cd root, and we want to do ls, and we want to cat proof.txt, and there we have the root flag. So you can see this machine was super interesting. You have to exploit the Jorani software using that exploit from the Python exploit written in Orange Cyber Defense's GitHub repository, which covers CVE 2023-26469. Once you do that, if you follow your process and you find that the Jordak user can run env with sudo no password, you just come over to GTFOBins, you look for sudo, you copy and paste this in, and you have a root shell. So hopefully this was helpful for you. Hopefully you found the video interesting. I will include links to everything that I covered in the description below. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to drop them below. I'll be happy to talk with you. and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.